Hello, welcome to BBC World News. Almost 600 conservation experts have signed an open letter calling on world leaders to take ambitious action to halt declines in nature. It's been released ahead of the publication in Paris of a UN report which is expected to say that up to 1 million species are at risk of extinction. Our science correspondent Rebecca Morel reports.
From the oceans to the land, from insects to exotic plants, all around the world, nature is in dramatic decline. It's the focus of a major new UN report, warning that the planet's facing an ecological crisis. And it's humans who are to blame. Areas once rich in nature are being cleared for development. Illegal trade is bringing animals to the brink of extinction, and pollution is poisoning the seas.
We are changing the planet in really unprecedented ways, and there's been a tremendous decline in species and in the quality of our ecosystems and our environment. And the bottom line is that people depend on nature, and so unless we take care of the planet, we're not taking care of ourselves.
This small patch of land in the southwest of England, hemmed in by busy roads, is a refuge for the narrow-headed ant. These insects were once widespread, but as their habitat has shrunk, now this is the only place in England they can be found. This ant is one of the last of its kind, but it's vital for this heathland environment. These insects keep the soil healthy, they break down organic matter, and they're also food themselves for birds and small mammals. It might be tiny, but losing it would have a huge impact.
Once you start to lose species, you don't know quite when the critical time comes. I mean, we prepared to lose the ant, then the nightjar, we prepared to lose cuckoos, and so on. You get to a time when it no longer is a functioning ecosystem, it no longer is a living heathland.
The report says there is still hope for nature, but a global rescue plan must start now. If we fail to act, many species will be left fighting for survival. Rebecca Morel, BBC News, Paris.
Let's go live to Paris now, and our environment correspondent Matt McGrath, who's there for us. Tell us a bit more, Matt, about what you're expecting from this report.
Well, Lucy, it promises to be the most stark indictment of humanity's time on this planet and its impact on the species of this planet. It will detail, I think, in quite grim detail, what we've done with the lands and what we've done with the seas and how that's impacting on species all over the place. It will look at what's happened with our consumption as our population has grown, what we've done with the plants and the animals and how we're impacting them, and the waste that we're producing, the plastic pollution, the toxic sludge that's going into the seas every year. It will have a lot of detail on these type of things, and I think it will make quite a stark reminder of the footprint of humanity on the planet.
It's going to talk about how we're impacting them, but also how their decline will impact us. Just explain how interconnected we are, how the decline, this loss of what they're talking about, losing 1 million species, how that could affect us as humans.
Yes, perhaps people forget quite quickly that the world is so dependent, perhaps more dependent on nature than it's ever been. 2 billion people get their firewood from forests. 4 billion people rely on medicine that comes from natural products. 70% of the cancer medicines in the world come from nature. So all these things in our health, in our food, they're intimately connected with the natural world. And if small pieces of it start to go, parts of the biodiversity as it's called, if we lose little pieces of it, then the whole thing can collapse over time. And that's what scientists are really worried about. We may not lose or miss 1 or 2 species disappearing, but then they can suddenly lead to bigger collapses, and that could have major impacts for the food that we eat, the clothes that we wear, and the energy that we consume.
Presumably it's going to make recommendations. I mean, the issue is that it needs governments all over the world, businesses, individuals to take action, doesn't it? We had a similar report, as you were talking about earlier, 15 years ago. Do you get any sense that this is going to have more of an impact, this report?
I absolutely do. I think that this will have a lot more impact. Every government in the world, or at least 130 of them, have signed up to put into practice what this report is telling them. Governments of the world will meet next year in China at a special convention on diversity, on biological diversity, to try and agree new rules going forward. Now, the last time they did this in 2011, they agreed some rules they haven't really been followed. But the belief and the hope is now that with greater concern about climate change, with a greater awareness of the ecological emergency that the world is in, that the time is right for a new type of agreement in which most of the governments of the world will sign up to, that will inspire citizens to take actions as well to make sustainability the watchword for everyone.
OK, thanks for now. That's Matt McGrath for us there live in Paris. Plenty more from him throughout the day.